शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः ओम अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम. Welcome back everyone. Last time we were talking about Purusharthas, right? How many Purusharthas are there? Four. What are they?
Artha, Kama, Moksha, and
Yeah.
Dharma.
Dharma. Say it in the order. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Right? So we also talked about Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, having 4 hands. You remember that? And 4 hands represent what? Say it loud.
Like he's giving everyone the 4 Purusharthas.
Right. He's blessing us with 4 Purusharthas. Right? So that brings us to the first shloka. We began this whole thing with Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Jayet Sarva Vighnopashantaye. Okay, let's look at the meaning of that shloka. Shukla Ambaradharam. Shukla means white and bright. What does white color represent? Anybody can tell me? Yeah? Peace, wonderful. Pure, excellent. And it is also all the colors taken together. You know, rainbow colors. Rainbow has how many colors? 7, right? If you take white light and send it through prism, what happens? You get a rainbow, 7 colors. But what happens if you take all the 7 colors and mix it up? It becomes white again. So the Lord is wearing white clothes. What does it represent? Rainbow, yeah. It also represents everything, all the colors. So basically, symbolically, white means everything. So the Lord is wearing white clothes means actions, teaching, everything outside is covered. Therefore, white. And what is the color of the Lord himself? Shashivarnam. Again, Shashi is white. Shashi is moon. Moon is bright, full moon is white color. Very beautiful white color. So when you see bright moonlight, what do you feel? Happiness, bliss. So the moonlight is associated with happiness and bliss. So inside also, outside is all white. That means everything is covered. But inside also, everything covered. All encompassing. That's what it means. Shashivarnam. And then Chaturbhujam. He has 4 hands. What does those 4 hands represent? Blesses us with all the Purusharthas. So the Lord covers everything outside, encompasses everything inside, and blesses us with 4 Purusharthas. So we also talked about Purusharthas, that there is nothing that anybody wants outside of this, right? It covers everything. All the Purusharthas cover everything, right? Then, does this Lord or God get mad at us for making any mistakes? If we do something knowingly or unknowingly, does he get angry at us? No. Prasanna Vadanam. Always positive, always compassionate, always happy mind. The face is the index of mind. So Prasanna Vadanam means very pleasant appearance. And we are meditating on such a Lord for pacifying all the obstacles, all the difficulties, everything that we face in our life. So that's the meaning of first shloka. Shuklambaradharam, wearing white clothes. Sheshivarnam, pure white in complexion, like that white color. Chaturbhujam, blesses us with all purusharthas. Always pleasant and positive face, positive presence. And we are meditating upon such Lord for removing all obstacles, all difficulties, everything in our life. That's the meaning of that sloka. Okay? So how many of you can recite it without seeing, without me prompting? You can, you can, you can, you can. Wonderful. So we said we always begin everything auspiciously, end it auspiciously, so that we have auspicious middle. Who is starting here their day with a simple prayer, whatever prayer it is? Wonderful. Excellent. Excellent. If you are not doing it, do it from now. Okay? Who is ending the day with a small prayer? Excellent. Excellent. If you don't, then keep doing it. Okay? Just remind yourself and keep doing it. And now, last time we talked about Rama. And we talked about Purusharthas. It was the story of Rama and 4 brothers, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna. All these 4 represent 4 Purusharthas. That's what we talked about. So the story of Ramayana, when did this happen? Nobody knows. Some people think maybe 10,000 years ago. Some people think maybe 1,000,000 years ago. Nobody knows when it happened. But if it is simply the story of a prince, would the story last this long? It would have ended right after the prince ended his life. Soon after the prince left this world, the story would have ended. But why is this story enduring for thousands of years? Yeah?
Because he's a lord?
He's a lord? Okay, that's a good answer. What else do you think? Maybe it has something useful for us, right? If it is useful for us, was it useful for previous generations? Yes. So there is something useful, right? If something is useful, let us say you are thirsty. I get you a glass of water. So glass of water is useful for you. But after you finish drinking the glass of water, do you need another glass of water? Probably not, right? Its job is done. So something is useful means it is useful for somebody for some time. If something is useful for somebody for some time, would it have lasted this long? No. So some people thought that it has something useful for everybody. But I say that it has everything needed by everybody all the time. What is it? It has everything needed by everybody all the time. That's the reason why it has endured the test of time. I'll tell you a short story. Okay? Who wrote the Ramayana poem? Anybody know? Yeah? Valmiki. Yeah. So one day Valmiki was in his little hermitage. In the hermitage came a divine sage named Narada. So Valmiki asked him some important question. He has been thinking about this question all his life. So he figured out that if a person can have some 16 qualities, that individual either is mythical or doesn't exist at all. So it is impossible for a human being to have all those 16 qualities. That's what he thought. But his question was, is it possible for anyone to have all those 16 qualities? So he asked that question to Narada. And Narada narrated the story of Rama. And Rama was alive at that time. He was ruling the kingdom of Ayodhya at that time. So after listening to this story, Valmiki's mind was completely filled with Rama. Then he took one of his disciples and he started walking to take his regular showers. So in the afternoon they take a bath in a river and then they do meditation. These are sages, right? They live in hermitage. So he went to a river named Tamasa. Remember these words. But if you don't remember, that's okay. But keep them in your mind. And when he went to the river, he noticed that the water is so pure, so quiet, without any turbulence, without any waves, without any twirling things or anything. It's so clean, crystal clear. Then he told his disciple, look at this water. How clean, how pure, how turbulence free it is. In the same way as a good person's mind. What did he say? In the same way as a good person's mind. What does it tell you about Valmiki at that moment, if he is saying this? Yeah?
That he's a good person.
Yeah? And his mind is?
Clean.
Clean. So, and then everything was like that. Everything was beautiful and happy. Then a hunter came. There were two birds sitting on the tree. They're in love with each other. They're chattering with them. So then this hunter took one of the arrows and shot the male bird. And the male bird fell down bleeding and kicking its legs and wings, flapping, because it's dying. And the female bird was crying. And when he looked at this, immediately great compassion came in his heart. He became a little sad. And spontaneously some words came out of his mouth. He said, Ma nishada pratishtham tvamagama shaswati samaha yat krauncha midhunadekam avadhi kama mohitam. Spontaneously. And nobody ever in the past have uttered something like this. Ma nishada pratishtham tvamagama shaswati samaha yat krauncha midhunadekam avadhi kama mohitam. It is singing like music, right? In the same way we're saying the slokas, like 8 letters, 8 letters, 8 syllables, 8 syllables, 8 syllables, 8 syllables. And his disciple was a very smart fellow. He caught it. The moment he uttered, he captured it. And he started thinking, Ma nishada pratishtham tamagama shaswati samaha yat krauncha midhunade kamavadhi kama mohitam. And then they walked away. Now, of course, the hunter took away the bird, whatever, we don't care about that. But because of this disturbance, emotional disturbance, these words came, they were wondering, what happened? What is this that came out of us? It's so musical. What is the meaning of these words? Then as soon as they reached their hermitage, the Creator manifested. Brahma, Lord Brahma came and said, Valmiki, this is because of my blessing. Saraswati sat on your tongue and these words came out of your mouth. We also did a prayer for Saraswati, right? Saraswati Namaste. And Saraswati sat on his tongue and his prayer came out. And he said, this is all my blessing to you. Whatever story you heard, Rama's story, in the same musical pattern, as you said, Ma, Nishada, Pratish, like that, in the same musical pattern, you write a big poem of Rama. And I bless you that you will know everything in the past, present, and future. With my blessing, you will know everything people thought, people felt, people acted, people did, and people spoke. And once you finished writing this poem, Ramayana, it will last as long as the mountains stand, as long as the rivers flow, as long as the planets revolve. That's the blessing he gave. So, if such a blessing is given, what does it mean? It must have everything that everybody needs for all the time. Right? That's what Ramayana has. And we already talked about that. It has Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. If 4 things are presented, what else has to be presented? There's nothing else beyond it. So, how so? How can story of a princely boy or a princely person can have all these 4 things? So that's what we want to understand. Right? So we have to begin understanding who Dasharatha is, who Dasharatha's 3 wives are, and so on. Okay. Who are Dasharatha's 3 wives? Who can give me the names? Yeah?
Kausalya, Sumitra, and Kaikeyi.
Yeah? You agree? Excellent. So we will talk about Kausalya, Sumitra, Kaikeyi later because it will take some time to understand who Dasharatha is. It will take some time. Okay? So now, if you want to understand or know about the world or act in the world, what do you need? How do you do it? How do you know about the world? Anybody? How do you know that I am sitting here?
I can see you sitting here.
Okay, how do you know that I am here? Because you see me, right? So that means by seeing, right, in that way. So I'm just giving you a hint. Yeah?
No.
Okay, that's okay. How do you know about the world? I gave you a hint already. By seeing. Then?
By hearing.
By hearing. Excellent. Then?
5 senses.
By?
By the 5 senses.
5 senses. Excellent. You want to give all the names of the 5 senses?
Seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling.
Smelling. Excellent, excellent. With these 5 senses, we get information about the world into us, right? But how do we act in this world? It's not just knowing about the world, we are also acting, right? We're doing something. How do you do? What do you need for that? Hands for doing things. Hint. Now,
Touch.
walking with the feet. If you want to go from place to place, yeah?
You need your body.
Yeah, we need the body, excellent. But what are the instruments of the body to do things? You said 5 senses, instruments of the body to take information in. We have some instruments to do outside into the world. So hands, feet, what else?
Mouth for talking.
Talking, speech. Speech is something that we do constantly. And
Or ears to listen.
no, that's the taking information in.
Yeah.
I'm telling acting out.
Uh,
We need organs to excrete stuff out, to throw whatever is there to out. And then there is also one other organ for creative potential called procreation, to make babies, etc. Okay, so there are 5 instruments to act and 5 instruments to see, but they cannot function by themselves. You might have seen people, they have eyes but really cannot see. People have holes, ears, but they can't hear. That's what happens, right, for deaf people? They have ears, but they can't hear. So what do we need? We need to have that hearing power, but we need another inner instrument. The inner instrument is the one that processes everything, that does everything, does the thinking, recalls things, memory, all that. That inner instrument is
your brain.
our mind. Brain is the organ on which mind is based on. If you have a computer operating system, right? You use Mac or Windows. Which one do you use? On computer, what operating system you have? Mac. So is the Mac same as the processor, CPU? No, right? There is actually an electronic module sitting. It is called the central processing unit. It has a chip. It is the brain of the computer. But the mind of the computer is the operating system that does everything. In the same way, the brain is only the CPU and the mind is the operating system that is running on it. But anyway, we need to have an inner instrument also. So how many instruments do we have total? 11, right? But 10 instruments outside to get information from outside to in, 5. To act into the world, 5, total 10. 1 is sitting inside. So 10 plus 1 instruments that we have, right? These are called indriyas. What are they called? Indriyas. How many indriyas are there for outside? 10. 5 to receive, 5 to act. So total 10 indriyas. Okay, keep that in the mind. I'll tell you a story. You heard the word Ravana, right? What is his actual name? Anybody know?
Dashananda.
Dashananta, no. Dashanana. Ananta gadu. Not Ananda. Dashakantha or Dashakandhara. So this Ravana is not his name, it's a title given to him. Anyway, when this Ravana was born, he's called Asura, like a demon, very bad person, evil person. So he has 3 brothers. He was born with his 2 brothers. One brother is Kumbhakarna, another one is Vibhishana. I'll tell about the story later when he was born, like how he was born. So these 3 brothers went to do tapasya. We talked about tapasya, didn't we? Who did tapasya? Whose tapasya did we talk about? Bhrigu. Remember the word? Bhrigu. So what did we say the meaning of tapasya?
What is the meaning of tapasya? It's like when you contemplate something.
Excellent. You contemplate in order to realize highest truths. But how do we do that? We restrict our happiness, our pleasures. We tolerate heat and cold. We tolerate happiness and unhappiness. And then we contemplate. Right? So Ravana went to do tapasya. But this Ravana, he did not do the same kind of tapasya that Bhrigu did. He was like throwing a terrible tantrum over the whole world. He was really tormenting his body because he wanted to impress the Creator. So after doing tapasya for very, very long time, he became so desperate and he started cutting off his head and threw it into the fire. Said, I'm cutting off my head and offering it to you. And then nothing happened. But another head grew. So he cut that one also and put it into the fire. Nothing happened. Another head grew. Like that he threw away 9 heads into the fire. Then he was about to cut the 10th head also. Then the Creator came. This kind of tapasya of tormenting oneself, like throwing a terrible tantrum on the world, is called Ghora tapasya. What is it called? Ghora means dreadful, fearful. He threw a dreadful tapasya. And who does this kind of tapasya? Bhrigu did not do Ghora tapasya. And you should never say that Mother Parvati did Ghora tapasya for Lord Shiva. That's wrong. Because she never did anything like this. No tantrums. No terrible, dreadful activities. It's all very pious activity. Yeah.
I think Ravana's tapasya best corresponds to someone trying to achieve a goal but overworking themselves. Like not doing it peacefully but stress building them.
Yeah. Building stress inside, building stress outside also. So after performing this Ghora tapasya, finally Brahma said, please stop this. Okay? What do you want? Then he asked for, I want to be victorious over all the worlds. I should never be killed by any of these divinities or anything. So he asked some boons. Okay? Anyway, what do you see any similarity?
Is it Brahma's son?
He's not Brahma's son. So he's descendant of Brahma, several generations down. So this Ravana, his name is Dashakantha because he has 10 heads. He tried to cut 9 of them, about to cut the even 10th one also, but then Brahma came. He's called Dashakantha or Dashakandhara. That is his actual name. Do you see any similarity between Rama's father and this demon Ravana? Any similarity? How about name similarity? Names are similar. There is Dasharatha and there is Dashakantha. What is the difference? Okay, the difference is that we have 10 instruments. What are these 10 instruments? 5 knowledge instruments called Jnana Indriyas, with which you get information from outside in. And then we have 5 Karma Indriyas, action instruments, with which you do action out into the world. So 5, 5, 10. How do you use these 10? That is the difference. Ratha means chariot. Anybody knows? Anybody have seen a chariot? How does a chariot look like? Yeah? Who wants to say? Like you're pretty good. Like I want one of you to answer. Like, tell me all the parts of a chariot.
So like it has the wheels at the front with horses.
Say it loud. You have horses. Yeah?
Horses, and then there's like the seat where
Loudly, please.
there's like the seat where
The riders.
Yeah, the riders are.
Yeah.
And then I think there are more wheels in the back.
Yeah, there are wheels. So main thing is there is a rider, main rider called charioteer. So charioteer is the one that is riding it. And then there is a driver, a chauffeur, sitting in the front seat who will control the horses and direct it wherever it has to go. Okay? And then there are horses. Sometimes there are 3 horses, sometimes 2, sometimes 4. You have seen Krishna and Arjuna. They have 4 horses, right? Always 4, remember. So, and then the horses are controlled by one long rope. So the driver is pulling that rope and controlling those horses. Right? So those are the things. So there is a beautiful shloka. We will say it later, not today, just to understand it. The shloka is from an Upanishad, one important scripture called Katha Upanishad. In that, the whole thing, whole individual setting is described as a horse-drawn chariot. In that, the individual, the self, I am the rider. Atmanam Radhinam Vidhi. I am the rider. Then what is the chariot? Shariram Radhamevatu. This body is the chariot. I am the rider, but this body is my chariot. And who is controlling, who is driving this chariot? My buddhi, my intellect, my thinking faculty, which makes decisions, which understands what is right from wrong, which understands what to do, what not to do. That buddhi is the driver. And the mind that likes things, I like this, I like that, that aspect of the mind is the rope that is controlling the horses. And the horses are 10 indriyas, 5 jnanendriyas and 5 karmendriyas. So now tell me, in Dasha, what does Dasharatha mean? There is Dasha, 10, right? And I also use the word Ratha. What does that mean? Can anybody connect everything that I said and say what it means? Yeah? The individual that is using this body as the chariot drawn by 10 indriyas, 10 instruments. You get the picture? And somebody who is a slave to those 10 horses, their rope got cut off. The driver is lost. Then what happens to the chariot? What do horses do? They will run in all directions, wherever they want to go. One horse will go into the ditch, one horse will go onto the mountain, onto the hill, and another horse will turn backwards and go. It can happen anything. Everything is a disarray, right? Because these 10 horses are controlling this person's life. The person who is riding the chariot, he has no say where to go, what to do. So that is Dashakanta. Right? Dashakanta means 10 necks, not 10 heads. 10 necks. So the one that has 10 necks That means all the 10 instruments are drawing this person into all different directions. The eyes want to see beautiful things and run away one way. The ears want to listen to some other sound, some music, and want to run away in a different direction. And the tongue is pulling in one direction to eat all kinds of pizzas and this all kinds of stuff. The hands are jittery and shaky and they're doing all kinds of stuff. Feet are running in another direction. If everything is like that, how will the life be? It will be gone in all directions, right? Crazy. And it can also really ruin ourselves. So, do you want to keep all the 10 on one goal, or do you want to let them run in all directions? Which is the right way? On one goal. So whoever can use all the 10 instruments and take this chariot called the body in one single direction, go on one particular path, that individual is Dasharatha. And the one who is always controlled by all these 10 senses became a slave for these 10 senses. That person is Dasharatha. Okay? We'll stop there, but we'll come back to the story. We'll understand it more later, because there is more to that. Okay? So say the sloka after me. Kayena vacha मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि ओम सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः।